All right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always, with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS. This is awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 306, and this is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. But before we get on with the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. YouTube.com/PS. This is awesome. It's simple. If you want to make fun of our trophy lists on the PlayStation Network, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. As always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends and be sure to leave comments and rate our podcast as you see fit. And as a reminder, this is a video podcast as well, so you can watch us if you prefer on the YouTube channel. So for new and or longtime listeners, we have a Patreon. You can support the show like some other people do at a $1 level. The Patreon tier is called the One and Only $1 Club. Head over to www.patreon.com/PS. This is awesome to become a $1 patron. You'll get a free die cut vinyl sticker in the mail and a shout out on the show. We have not had a new patron in a while. So if you want to be that person, now is the time. With that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing today? I will say I'm digging the beard. I don't know if that's on purpose or you're just lazy, but it looks good on you.
So I don't know if I would call it lazy so much as I didn't want to do it. I usually shave like once a week. And then I didn't want to do it like a few weeks ago. And so I was like, you know what? I didn't do it that week. And then it got into the second week. And I was like, you know what? I haven't had a beard in a while. Maybe I'll just let it grow for a bit. So I let it go for an additional week. So I'm 3 weeks in. And I got to be honest with you, I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it a lot. I wouldn't. It's not that I don't mind like the look of it or anything. I hate the way that it fucking feels on my face. It's like if I could just somehow make it so that I didn't feel it around my mouth at all.
Yeah,
I would be okay with it. It's just the idea of like it constantly like every time I eat, I feel like I'm getting shit on my like sticking on my face and like all this stuff. But it's like a combination of laziness and curiosity. Because there was one time, maybe, I don't know, it's been quite a few years ago now, like maybe right after Sarah and I got married, that I didn't shave for like 6 months because I had I broke my wrist playing hockey. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just not going to shave the entire time my wrist is fucked up, which was like, 8 to 10 weeks. And then I was playing again and I was just like, I'm going to hang on till Christmas. And then like, I didn't shave for a while. And I got this, from my mom, my facial hair starts getting like a reddish tint to it.
Yeah.
Whenever I grow it out. So it's a little patchy in a few areas. Like I think I would keep a beard if I had a beard that was thick enough that I could shave it to like what do they call that? Like a distinguished level.
Like a manscaped, like
yeah, like you can actually trim the whole thing with like a set of like longer trimmers and keep it all like a uniform length. I think I would be okay with that, but I don't know. It's probably coming off tomorrow, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I got to see it.
Yeah. So, but other than that, it was pretty nice day. Although I didn't get to see it really at all because I was working. I'm working like fucking crazy. That's why I asked you if we could maybe do it tonight because I'm like busy all weekend and then I got like all this work shit going on next week. I'm basically balls out with work until Christmas and then I get to take a little bit of a break. But I kind of like a non sequitur, but I was on the way to work this morning and I feel like you'll appreciate this. That's why I'm bringing it up. And I was just letting Amazon Music play on my phone, just like whatever fucking comes up. And that song, Jesus of Suburbia by Green Day came on.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And it's off of the American Idiot album. And I remember not really liking that album all that much. Like it felt to me like that was the album where they really went mainstream.
Right.
And like, not that they weren't huge before that, but like that was like their, if you want to call it, their sellout album.
Yeah,
or
to
something
me,
like
that album felt like it was their last shot to be relevant again, and they pulled out all the stops.
Yeah, and they succeeded, to be fair. Like, they
Yeah.
succeeded in blowing themselves up and becoming a business and all this.
Which is crazy.
And I applaud them for that. But anyway, like, it came on, and I was going to skip it, and then because I remember not really liking that album very much, but it had been a long time since I listened to it. And then the beginning of the song kind of kicked on, and I was like, this actually sounds pretty good. And then I remembered what I didn't like about it. That song is fucking 10 minutes long.
Oh, yeah,
and it has like 6 different parts to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you're Green Day.
Yeah.
You're not freaking Iron Maiden or some
Or
shit.
Queen
where you're
or
like
some shit,
telling,
right.
yeah. Like, it's so by the time,
Stay in your
like,
lane, guys.
yeah, like 5 minutes in, and it was like the third part already that could have been a whole new song. And I'm just like, okay. But that was, to be fair to them, like, they had a message. This was around the time of 9/11, and
Yeah.
there was a war going on and all this stuff. And so, like, that's the whole, like, that's when Wake Me Up When September Ends got really big, and like all this other stuff. So, I don't have I'll say this. It's well produced. It sounds really good, but it's not really what I'm looking for from a Green Day album. Like,
No.
my 2 favorite Green Day albums were Dookie and Insomniac. Like, those 2 albums I thought were awesome, and then after that I just kind of fell off. But yeah, I don't know. That was just a little.
Speaking
like,
of Green Day,
personal
dude, they have a
moment
new
with music.
record coming out, and they're on.
I just saw a like on YouTube. They like just released a video or something like that.
They have,
So
So they did in that new video. It's like, song is weird. It reminds me of like something the Offspring would have put out. The new song, I think it's called Dilemma or something. It starts off kind of very Green Day like, but then like it just starts sounding more like the Offspring. It's weird. I will say, speaking while we're on the topic of music, I do like Green Day. I grew up on like Dookie and on Kerplunk and stuff like that. So like the early records, and it's funny because like a lot of people who listen to them now because there are still new generations discovering this band and being like, oh yeah, fucking, and now like the new generations, like American Idiot is like, oh, that's an old record, but it's like this band has been a band forever. They've been a band for a long time. But yeah, so
Kerplunk came out in 91.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. So I mean, Dookie, I think, is hands down. Dookie and Insomniac. Like that song Armitage Shanks on Insomniac, the first song is just so damn good. And Going to Pasalacqua on I don't know, is that 1039 Smooth Out Slappy Hours? It's either that on Kerplunk. That song is fantastic. And then, to be fair, there's something in. Now we're completely going off rails here, but he the way he sings "Going to Pasalacqua," there's some things that Billy Joe does that I pick up as a songwriter, like on the lyric delivery, that like maybe a lot of people pick up on, but they're not like, oh, that's really clever. They're just like, oh yeah, that's fine. It sounds like Green Day, but like, there's a line, and this is like one of the first songs they put out, is like, you and I together, how's it go? Will this last forever? You and I together, something, 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 holding hands, yeah, far away. But like the way he sings is like, how's it go, man? What the fuck is the lyric? It's so good because then he uses the same technique later in a song on their song Warning on their record Warning, which is like their acoustic one. But he does this real creative thing where like he enunciates words in such a way that becomes like meta musical. So it's like, will last forever, you and I together, hand in hand, we run away. But he has this way of like singing that like the way he sounds, it's like his own language sometimes, the way he blends words into other words. So in Warning, he has a line that says, "Keep out of reach of children. Don't you talk to strangers. Get your philosophy from a bumper sticker." But the way he sings it, his mouth becomes a fucking snare drum. And it bounces off of what Trey does on the drums. And I don't know if a lot of people, but it's so fucking good. And he sings like, "Keep out of reach of children. Don't you talk to stranger. Get you." And he said like that, like it's like the weird, it picks up on like the 3. And it's so intentional. And it's so clever, and it's a weird count, like consonant-wise, but it plays off the snare drum. Musically, it's really interesting when he says that line, and then going to Past Lagos, things that I pick up about that band. But I think generally they're pretty good. I don't really like a lot of their newer stuff. I didn't like American Idiot at all, not because of the content of it. A lot of people, I don't know. I think a lot of people misunderstand American Idiot and think it's like, I don't know. It is what it is, but.
Well, let me just on a closing note tell you sort of like this is kind of like encompasses a little bit of what lost me about Green Day as they evolved is that Insomniac, which as much as I think Dookie is the superior record, Insomniac, I wore that fucking CD
so good,
out.
man.
Like,
Stuck with me, Jesus.
Yeah, like I loved that album. And that album from start to finish is 32 minutes and 49 seconds long, and it's 14 tracks.
And it's so damn good. Is Walking Contradiction on there too? I think it is.
Yeah. American Idiot is 13 tracks, so it has one less track, and it's almost twice as long at just under an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, it's those, like Insomniac, Dookie, the stuff before that, like even maybe I guess to an extent Nimrod and stuff, like that shit is all punk rock, like classic punk rock. You know what I mean?
It's just good pop punk, dude. It's so good.
Yeah, like they were just really,
but not like
they were really diving into the concept with American Idiot, and I think that that's something that was lost on a lot of old fans.
Yeah, I think you're right. And now they're kind of splitting the difference now with their new stuff. But their new stuff is just so fucking polished, and he's using like effects on his voice all the time now. And she's like, dude, you got a fucking killer voice. Just bring it back. Like, you don't gotta like fucking be operatic.
Could be that he can't hit some of that shit anymore. I mean, he is like 50 something now.
It's so like, crazy to think about that. It's so sad. Yeah, it makes me feel so old.
But they do, like, musically, you listen to some of the new songs. Like, I can't remember. I think it was off of the last album they did or something. One of their singles or something. They'll be playing, and it's like the song will be kind of meh, and then like Trey will rip some ridiculous fucking drum fill in the middle of the song. You're like,
I know the song you're
that's
talking
fucking
about.
Green Day.
Yeah, it's Bang Bang.
You know what I mean?
I know the song.
Yeah. So like and there was, I think it was off that album. They had a deal. Obviously, I'm a big hockey fan. They had a deal with the NHL where they were doing like this like music before NHL. It was like it wasn't like they were playing live, but it was like they had these smash cuts of them playing as a band, and it was like all commercialized and shit. I'm just like, man, they've lost the plot for me like completely. Like it's not the same as it used to be.
I don't like to call bands sellouts, dude, because they're just taking advantage of doing what they love. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
No,
like,
I guess
that.
I didn't mean that as a pejorative. I meant like, dude, if someone came to the fucking Flood and they were like, we'll give you $10 million to make an album that sounds like Taylor Swift or something. Yeah. I mean, that's a bad example because she writes good music, but like, I don't know, fucking, Tim McGraw, let's say, or something like that. It's just like, okay, yeah. And all day long.
We'll hit the fucking think tank and just churn out 10 songs like that. Yeah, right. It's interesting, man. But yeah, no. So yeah, I really dig Green Day. I don't like their new stuff, or I would say most of their newer stuff. But yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, Insomniac, we're in agreement there. That's a great record. I will say that Dookie, though, for me, I think Dookie is less loud and abrasive than Insomniac, actually. Insomniac's like a little darker. Like a lot of the songs, I think most of the songs, I don't know if you know this, but most songs on Dookie and Insomniac are tuned a half step down.
Dude, I'll never forget the first time I heard Brain Stew and just like that guitar sound in that song. It's so like dirty. I don't know. There's something about it that just feels
crunch
gross.
to it. Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they had so many good songs back then. Every single song they had was a banger. Then they had that Jason Andrew Relva song. It was like a, it was on the Angus. There was a movie called Angus. It was like a one-off on that movie soundtrack when bands would give like B-sides to like movie soundtracks instead of like try to write hit songs for it. And then like Weezer had a song on that soundtrack too. It's called You Gave Your Love to Me Softly. It's one of the best Weezer songs I've ever fucking heard. And like that Angus soundtrack was fantastic. But dude, I've seen Green Day twice. I did talk to Billy Joe once years and years ago at Warped Tour. It was very brief. He was signing autographs, and it was one of the Warped Tours in Pittsburgh that my old band, the Torpentines, played. So we were just walking around, and I didn't realize they were doing autographs, and he was sitting at a table, and there was tons of people there to meet him, and I just kind of yelled over people because I had my little badge, and I thought like maybe he'd like talk to me. I was like, "Hey, Billy, you guys gonna play JAR tonight?" That Jason Andrew Relva song. And he looks at me and goes, it's not on the set list, dude. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that sucks." He goes, "Yeah, maybe next time." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." And then he went back to signing shit. I was like, "That's cool." I actually talked to Billy Joe. But then I saw them recently, within the last 10 years in Cleveland. And they put on a hell of a fucking show, dude. But like, it sucks because it really is a catch-all of all different kinds of people, that go to their concerts. And it's just like, you feel like you might as well be watching Kiss or somebody or like Aerosmith. Like it's just, people are just there because of the name and don't necessarily know all their music and just know their hits. And then they kind of probably feel an expectation to play just the hits. Great. They played a lot of shit from all their records when I saw them. I've seen them twice, like I said, but they're on a tour. This turned into like a fucking long podcast already, but they're on a tour with the Smashing Pumpkins and Rancid, and it's a stadium tour. And I would love to go to that, but I don't want to fucking watch them on it. Yeah, I don't want to watch them on a jumbo screen. I've seen Rancid 3 times now, and they're one of the best punk bands out there. They're so good live. They're unbelievable. And I've never seen the Pumpkins, but it is what it is, man. I got one quick story, and we'll start talking about So this episode, we're gonna talk about the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, which dropped, and we're gonna talk about all the shit from the Game Awards that just happened yesterday, or 2 days ago. It might have been yesterday. We're recording this on Friday, and the show airs every Wednesday. And if you are a supporter on the Patreon website, you will have early access to the episodes, usually on Monday. Or as soon as we can get them up, which is usually Monday, but maybe this weekend you're getting luckier and you're getting it earlier. So my quick story is, dude, I never play the lottery, ever, right? Now don't get too excited. But I went to Tops to get some sour cream for dinner. We were going to make some quesadillas, and we ended up just making like mushroom soup or something. So I didn't even really need to go. But while I'm standing there in line, I look over and I see the 2 big lottery scratch-off machines, right? And you can't fucking make money scratch-offs. But you do hear randomly that once in a while, some jabroni from local, like, hit for $250,000 or something on a scratch-off. Like, fuck, man, that could have been me. What store was it? Do I go there? And I start like, yeah, man, what if I would have just bought one? So I'm sitting there, and they make these lottery machines now. Apparently, you don't even need to have cash on you. You could just swipe your debit card. Or your credit card, probably. And that's a dangerous game for some people, probably. So I'm not advocating gambling. But I'm sitting there, and I'm doing the self-checkout. I got my card in my hand, and I'm just like, it's Christmas time. They have some Christmas-themed ones. They have these ones called Bah Humbug. They're $3 a piece. I swiped it. I bought 2. Now, if you're familiar with the scratch-off ticket, it's usually just matching numbers, and you're seeing if anything lines up. The top of this ticket, there are 5 little places that you can play. Top of the ticket, the very first game says, match 2 symbols, win everything else on this card. All the dollar amounts, you win them. And then the other one's like, match the numbers, you get, if your number matches, you win the prize underneath it. And the last one is get like a Scrooge, win $100 or whatever. It's all the shit, right? First card I scratch off, nothing. And I'm like, all right, that's to be expected. I get it out of my system. It's a new season. I like something about like we always used to get in our stockings lottery tickets from my parents because my mom loves that shit. She loves watching us try to win $1 or $2. And so I get to the next ticket, Jake, and I'm at the very top, and I scratch, and it's a gingerbread guy, and the next one is a gingerbread guy. The rest of the ticket is a win, no matter what is there. And like my heart's like, I'm like, oh fuck, it's happening. It's gonna fucking happen. Like, you know, and I'm like, God damn. And I'm like sweaty, and I'm like, I don't even know. Like there could be, you know, because the last one I scratched, all the other numbers were like, you know, like $500, you know, $300, and then there was like free ticket, and then one was like $10,000, and I'm like, fuck, man, like if I have 2 gingerbread at the top, I get no matter what these things say, and I'm like, I can fucking make out here. I could get my fucking Indian I want. So here we go. You know, this probably never happens. We get 2 of the same fucking things on top. First little box I scratch, $3. I'm like, all right, made my money back. Second one, $3, $3. Everything was $3. It was a $30 ticket. But like, dude, my adrenaline, like, when
pretty good.
Not bad. Yeah, fuck yeah. Because I paid for because I also picked up toilet paper. So like, it paid for my shopping trip. But like, dude, having those 2 at the top when you hit that, I was like, it's no wonder people do this shit all the time. Because like my head's like, what if I got another one? Could be it. And I'm like, fuck no.
I mean, it's gambling. Like people.
That's what it is, right?
Gambling.
Yeah.
So.
But I couldn't believe.
But yeah,
it.
those machines are crazy. I mean, at least in Pennsylvania, because it's different from state to state. But I think you have to use a debit card. I don't think they'll let you use a credit card because it needs to be a cash transaction.
I just presumed. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a dangerous game people play. But yeah, $30. I was pretty excited. You know, and then it leaves you feeling ripped off. But it's like I'm still up like $27. You know what I mean on that ticket. So I won. But like you're like, man, there should have been at least a 100 on there somewhere. You know, just one.
The psychology behind it is amazing. I mean, if you buy like a Powerball ticket, dude, like everybody who buys a Powerball ticket thinks they're gonna win.
Yeah, they're like, this could be the one. Yeah, everyone's like, it could be. That's why I'm buying it. Yeah, this is probably, you know, why wouldn't I buy one? Dude, it messes with your brain, man. Yeah, and I don't even play those. And I was standing there, like I said, I was doing the self-checkout, and I looked over, and it's all glittery, and it's got all the Christmas ones in there. I'm like, I'm going to fucking buy a couple of these. I bought 2. So I'm actually up, $24. But then, like I said, I bought the toilet paper and the sour cream, so I think I'm even. So let's move into PlayStation. Oh, we actually, we talked about games that we're playing. Sorry, so we are going to talk PlayStation. And we're about 23 minutes into today's episode. Sorry for the long rants about Jake and I's lives, but that is normally what we do on the show. And then we get into business. So every episode we talk about games that we're playing. I will report, Jake, like you, I platinum Spider-Man 2. And today, VR for Resident Evil 4 dropped for free. You have to download it. You have to go to the store and download it. So if you own Resident Evil 4, the remake, you have to go to the PlayStation Store and download the VR mode. It's like not very large. I have it. I've never played Resident Evil 4. I really want to try it tonight. We'll see how late this podcast goes. I really want to. But I guess the shining achievement that I got is that I finally platinumed another game, Spider-Man 2. Pretty easy to platinum. Good game. I just hope whatever DLC they come up with, it doesn't take too long because I feel proficient in the combat in it right now.
Yeah.
Jake, what about you? What are you playing?
So I played a little bit more Alan Wake, and then I kind of paused playing Alan Wake because when you texted me the one time and you were like, I played like one of the craziest things I've ever played in a video game in Alan Wake. Yeah. I think I got to that part and I was just like, the whole time I was playing this section, I was like, this is so fucking cool. The whole time I was like, this is so cool. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And then I got done with that part and I was like, I got it. Before I move on, I have to like revert my save and show Sarah this part of the game. So like before I do anything else, even though she like kind of fell off on watching the game, it's like you don't really even need to know the context. It's just like the thing that happens is just so cool.
I've never seen
And
it before in a game.
yeah, and uh so I was like, all right, well, I downloaded, and I mentioned it last week. I downloaded the demo for Star Ocean Second Story R, which is the remake of Star Ocean, the Second Story, and started playing it. And this game is pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's a JRPG from, I believe it's from the 90s, and they remade it. And what they did was, if you've played Octopath Traveler, you know how it's like they have this whole 2D HD thing,
Oh, yeah.
where it's like everything is everything is like pixelated and sprites, but it's like placed in 3 dimensions. So like you get all this like sparkle and real water effects and all this shit, but all of the graphics are pixelated. Well, what they did in this game was only the character and enemy sprites are pixelated, but the surrounding world and environments and everything are high def 3D fucking models. It
That's
is like
interesting.
it's really interesting and really kind of neat looking. And I'm not like the dialogue and everything is a little fucking cheesy and stuff, but and the combat is kind of weird because it's like action based, but then there's like pause menus where you can cast spells, and there's like this dodge mechanic. And sometimes the combat seems incredibly easy, and other times it seems incredibly hard. So like I'm not really sure about how the combat is supposed to flow just yet. But I'm like 2 hours and 15 minutes into it. I think the demo will play for 3 hours before it cuts you off. But there's 2 main characters, and you can choose to either start as one or the other. And I think they start in different points. So if I get through the demo and it lets me restart as the other character, I'd like to try that out because I'm interested. Because the two main characters, they come from very different sort of stories. So I'm interested in how, and obviously they meet pretty immediately, but I'm interested in how really diverse the origins of the two stories are. Now they come together relatively quickly, and then the two characters are together, I think, probably the rest of the time. But trying to think of it's probably like similar to Cyberpunk or something, where you start out in a different area depending on your background that you pick or
Right.
whatever. But pretty quickly you kind of join with the main story and what have you. So I've been enjoying that, and I haven't really had a whole lot. I've been running all over the place for work, so I haven't had much time to play. So basically, I've just been playing that, and I don't know. I'm hoping to play a little bit more Alan Wake this weekend, and I still want to check out what's that game? The heist game with like the pick that's pixelated and you can blow shit up.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
Tearaway.
not. It's
No,
not. Yeah, tear down.
Tear
Tear
down.
down. I still have it installed, and I still want to try it out real bad. So I'm hoping that if I don't get to it this weekend, I'll definitely try to get to it over Christmas break,
Very
because
good.
I have some time off for Christmas, so I definitely want to try that out because it does seem kind of interesting.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Very good, man. Well, every show we talk about listener feedback. If you want to write into the show, you can write us at pssawesome@gmail.com. You can also write to us on our YouTube channel, but we prefer for you to go ahead and write us on Patreon. We don't care how you get a hold of us, but that is our preference. We have had very minimal back and forth with our listeners lately. So hopefully everybody is okay out there and everybody's doing well. So if you want to write in, you can do that. I'm going to take no comments as a good sign that you guys are agreeable with the shit that we're doing right now. And so we're going to move on to news. And the news this week, like I said earlier, we're going to talk about the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, our opinions, some things about it, and then we're going to jump into some of the things that were shown and went down at the Game Awards 2023 this year. And we're not really going to talk about who the winners were and all that stuff, more so the reveals, the trailers that went on. But the first thing I want to talk about, Jake, is the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, because it essentially broke all kinds of YouTube records, because it had like over 100 million views in like, I don't even know, like fucking 2 days or something ridiculous. It leaked. So apparently the thing leaked and it came out a day early, and then Rockstar were just like, well, shit, since our trailer leaked, why don't you just go to our YouTube channel and watch it there? Here you go, everybody. So they just kind of attacked that. It's weird that it leaked just the day before, so my guess would be that somebody at YouTube leaked it, or maybe someone within their company, maybe they had access to that. But they did a pretty good job keeping it under wraps. Dude, there's so much to say about this trailer, and maybe not so much at all. There's a lot of impressions. I kind of want to talk about the setting, their choice of the song for the trailer, which isn't really a big conversation, but it's funny in a way. And then, how well I thought the game looked, the overall vibe, and then like what they're shooting for a release window. And the reason why this is important is because Grand Theft Auto is like, I don't want to say the largest game out there, but like, dude, it's a monster. I don't know if I would say it's bigger than Mario in terms of things, but it's fucking huge.
I don't know, man.
I mean, I don't know either. I mean, is it bigger than Mario?
Popularity?
What's that?
In terms of current popularity? Probably.
Yeah, when you say video game, what does somebody think of immediately? Like our parents probably like, oh, Mario, or Nintendo, Mario. But like modern kids, what's one of the first video games come to mind? Maybe not Grand Theft Auto.
Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto, probably the first two. Call of Duty. Yeah, so it's a juggernaut for sure. But dude, so this trailer came out, and I have watched it like 5 or 6 times, because there's so much, but not much at all. And it's like, it's definitely set in Vice City. So
can I just say?
Yeah.
Can I just say? I love that they chose this Tom Petty song.
Yeah, right.
Like they could have chose any number of way more
Huge
famous and
hits.
popular Tom Petty songs, and they chose "Love Is a Long Road," which has just got this dope. It's from Full Moon Rising or whatever the fuck that album's called.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's got this neat like electric piano to like start it out, and it's very like 80s, and there's just these dude, it's so good, and it fits the trailer so great.
And I don't know why it does, but it does.
I don't know what your opinion is, but I think that we were kind of speculating a little bit about the time period, maybe it'd be 90s or whatever. I think this is modern day Vice City.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like to me.
Yeah, it's got to be modern day.
But I got to be honest with you, man. I'm not like the biggest. I haven't been a GTA fan. I haven't been a GTA fan since the original Vice City came out. Mm-hmm. That was whatever 2002 or whatever it was. But this trailer has got me jazzed.
Yeah, dude.
It is so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish we got a little more in terms of like gameplay and stuff, but just setting up the theme and like the feel of the game. I'm all in already.
The vibe. Yeah, everything about it. Like so the set, yeah, dude. I love that that's how you feel about it, because that's exactly how I feel about it. And I didn't anticipate feeling that way about it, though. I wasn't even excited for it. But when it happened, and I wasn't familiar with that Tom Petty song, to be honest. I like Tom Petty. My father's got Tom Petty on satellite radio all the time when we drive around in his Tucson. But like it's always Tom Petty. And we cover Tom Petty songs. Tom Petty has a lot of records, to be fair. But I do agree with you. The fact that it's a deep cut, it's still a banging song. And we'll jump right to the song. We'll go back to setting in a second. But why I have song on the notes here is that apparently well, Tom Petty's no longer with us, but like his Twitter account or something said something like, it must be his wife or his family or whoever's in control of his estate, just wrote like, we just want to thank Rockstar for, Tom loved the fact that he had a song on one of the earlier Grand Theft Auto games, and we really appreciate you guys picking Tom's song for your debut trailer. And then Rockstar retweeted it with like a heart, and that was it.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Tom Petty's from Florida. He's a Gainesville guy. So like that probably has something to do with that decision as well. And it kind of bothers me that when we were talking a few episodes back, we talked about music. Like, what song do you think it's going to be? Like, I was like Nirvana, and you said like some different things too. He said, watch it be like Gaga or something, joking, you know what I mean? But like, dude, why did none of us fucking say Tom Petty? Because that would have made the most sense, really, from logistical.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's a number of famous musicians from Florida, but like, yeah,
you like hot water music. I was like, yeah,
Tom Petty is like, if you think about Rockstar and like their sort of vibe, like it kind of just makes sense in hindsight. In case anybody's curious, the album is called Full Moon Fever, not Full Moon Rising, and that album is fucking awesome. And if you want that album, Damn the Torpedoes, like all like Wildflowers, just listen to all of them. They're so fucking good. All of them are.
Great songwriter.
But yeah, I don't know, man. As soon as you text me and you said something about that trailer or whatever, and I hadn't watched it yet, so I was like kind of ignoring you a little bit because I didn't want you to like fucking ruin something for me.
Yeah, right.
So I pulled it up. I was like crawling into bed when I saw your message, so I pulled it up on my phone and I watched it, and I was just like, fuck, this looks awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I'd watched it on my television or something, because it's just so... Dude, it's so just good. Everything from like even the main character and her sort of... And I assume you're going to be playing maybe as multiple characters in this like you did in GTA 5. I'm not sure. But like the vibe of the main character and her getting out of prison, and then like, dude, it just looks really good. And I love that like you can tell from this trailer that they're so, just like with previous GTA games, they seem to be so in tune with like modern culture.
Dude, it's ridiculous. Like the way that they're fucking ridiculous.
The way that they're representing things like social media and shit in the video, like it's very. It makes me optimistic that they're gonna keep the tradition of having just like really, really great social commentary in this. I mean, because honestly, like other than Grand Theft Auto, the only other media that I would say does social commentary in a similar fashion would be something like South Park, where it's like no holds barred. They just fucking go at it, and everyone just accepts it because it's great. And I hope that without the I think like, I don't know if one or both of the Hauser brothers are gone, but I know at least one of them is gone. Hopefully that doesn't impact the way that this game is written, because man, I am just looking forward to like the sarcastic radio stations, and like who knows what the fuck they're gonna do with just even social media on like phones and things like that. I don't know. It could be it could be amazing.
I'll say this, like they're so good at holding up a mirror without outright saying you're all fucking ridiculous. They just hold a fucking mirror up, and then you see this world in video game world. You're like, holy fuck, this is us. Like, what? This is so fucking hilarious and ridiculous that this is where we're at. You know what I mean? Like, some of the shit in that is just mainly the Florida shit. You know what I mean? Like the Florida tropes of just just all of the things, like the dad bod thing where the guy's like on a boat and he's dancing. There's all these like women around him in like bikinis, and his like the tweet was like something about dad bod squad or something. And like, dude, they're just so in tune, like you said, with things like, you know, women twerking on cars that are just flying down the highway, and like, you know, I think in the beach shot, there's an influencer who's like holding like he's laying on his side, and like he's surrounded by people, but like he's trying to get the perfect shot of like either his girlfriend or whoever is like clearly in a thong, like posing, and like he's like trying to fucking get the perfect shot to post. And it's just like, dude, we're so fucking vain. And like the fact that they just exploit the fuck out of it and they make us laugh at ourselves is so incredibly awesome. And I think some people probably look at this thing and they're like, oh, that's so fucking cool. You know what I mean? And there are cool parts of the video, like definitely for sure cool parts. Like some of the automobile shit that was going on, like with like the shutting down a street and doing fucking donuts or doing drag racing or whatever the fuck they had going on. Like that shit happens, and that's culture. So they're in touch with like culture, and they're in touch with like underground shit, but they're also really in touch with just the absolute ridiculousness of society. And they put it all in this huge ass sandbox. And man, Vice City's huge, and it looks awesome. And the graphics are great, and it looks so populated. And I don't know if you picked up on this, but a lot of times in Grand Theft Auto, well, I mean, the current Grand Theft Auto game's like 13 years old or some shit. So like, but like every time you play those games, you can see behind the veneer, and it's like, oh, we have like 3 of the same car on the screen at the same time, or like there's only so many model types, or there's only so many characters start to kind of do, you know, it's like when you're playing MLB The Show and you look in the grandstand and like every 6 person's eating a fucking hot dog at the same time. Like one guy will eat it, and then like a half second later, the guy like 6 or 7 people down will eat a hot dog or take a drink. And it's like, they're all like the same fucking models. When you look at this trailer, I don't think I saw like any repetition. And that's by design on their part, how they made this trailer for sure. Yeah. But they're sending a fucking message, and they've figured some shit out. And if you think about how good Red Dead Redemption 2 looked, now granted, it's probably, that game's also older now, but like probably much easier to accomplish what they did with that game in like a Wild West open world, like less buildings, less architecture, less, you know, there's not like 300 horses in lights and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have like 300 horses on the screen at the same time going different directions, abiding by rules, and people using crosswalks and fucking, you don't have that shit going on Red Dead. It's just like you and your fucking horse by yourself, and they capitalized on setting and like stuff there. But like when you really look at like Grand Theft Auto and you have a bustling city, man, they fucking nailed this. Like if the game looks this good, and it like, even if it looks a fraction of what they're selling us right now, hopefully it's not just a bill of goods and it's just all bullshit. It's Rockstar. They have so much fucking money, and they have had years and years to work on this. They probably have more money than any studio right now because of Grand Theft Auto Online. They have so many resources and so much fucking talent that whatever they're piecing together here is going to be just a fucking treat. And I can't wait, man. I couldn't believe how good the graphics were. Everything looks so real. Like, it's like realistic, but it's not. It's stylized realism. And like, it's so interesting because if you look at like, just like the character models, like they look a cut above anything we've seen in a Grand Theft Auto game. There's something about them. They look so, dude. And like, man, just the textures, the lighting. Man, there's a scene where like there are people dancing in like a nightclub, not the strip club, but the nightclub where it's just packed full of people, and there's like a DJ like up. There's so many heads bobbing in the crowd and dancing, and I'm just like, this looks like a real nightclub. It looks like it doesn't look like, oh, there's like 7 or 10 people here. It looks like it's fucking shoulder to shoulder, and it looks awesome. I don't know, dude. The setting, they fucking killed it. It's going to be a fucking treat if it's even close. And I hope they get the story right. You know what I mean? I hope they get the story right. So I've touched on graphics. We touched on the song. This song of Tom Petty's had like a 30,000% increase in streams after this trailer aired, which is amazing. So go fucking Tom.
I believe it.
I've listened to it a few times for sure. It's a great song. But like, Jake, anything else you want to talk about before we talk about the release window on this? What do you think?
No, I don't think so. It's one of those things where I need to just the marketing cycle on this game is gonna be so fucking insane that
buy your Take-Two stock now.
I just gotta not watch anything else about this for the next year.
Yeah, Jesus.
Because you know it's gonna be like they did with Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like every fucking week, maybe next year, like halfway through next year, it's gonna be like every week there'll be screenshots of buildings and fucking planes and like ads on TV and different trailers and a story trailer and a making of trailer and it's just like the marketing budget for this game is probably $1 billion.
It's more than what most companies have to make a game. Yeah.
Yeah, way more. So I don't know. I mean, this could quite literally be the first $1 billion video game to come out. And I am really, really curious what we're going to end up with. I do have one lingering fear, and that is how are they going to integrate online with this?
Right.
Like, I really hope that this isn't an always online world. Like, I really want to make sure that there is a separate, I'm by myself, no one's crashing my game, fucking single player mode. Just like there was in GTA 5. And they can make a new GTA Online and have it be separate, and it'll probably be way bigger and all that. But I want to have the quintessential Grand Theft Auto single player experience.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm hoping that that's a thing.
Well said. And release window 2025. So I guess a lot of people were upset about this. And it's like, dude, I don't know.
I think everybody was thinking that it would be sooner than that. And there was a lot of speculation in the industry that it was going to be 2024. Like maybe fall of 2024. But my guess is that this game it could be first half of 2025, maybe like a spring, early summer.
Yeah, it could be 2 years from now, for real. Honestly.
But it could be 2 years from now. It could be fall of 2025 that we get this game. And so, I don't know. Just be prepared to wait and be excited. But like I kind of mentioned, I just kind of got to forget about this game.
Yeah.
Unless there's something legitimate to talk about, because it could be a long time before we see it. So,
man, it looks so good.
That's all I got.
It looks so good. Anyways, yeah, let's move on. Yeah, so let's move on. The next news point is going to be an amalgamation of stories that came out of the Game Awards 2023. I am not going to separate each game on the YouTube channel for easy access, so you're going to have to just figure that out yourself. I just want to have a natural conversation with Jake and not have to pause every 3 seconds to write down a timestamp. So we're going to talk about the Game Awards, what went down, and Jake, we have a couple things we need to discuss about this. I put a link here for you. Push Square did a really nice job of discussing the things that did get announced at the Game Awards. I did not include everything on their list. I included a lot of things. And some of the stuff we don't even really have to talk about if you're not interested in talking about it. But the first thing that I thought I wanted to bring to light, the Gods of Asgard, the band from Alan Wake 2 and Alan Wake 1. The bass player was not really playing the bass during their performance. And it drove me crazy. And they would like cut to the drummer at like the worst times because there'd be like a fill going on. And like he was like It was like delayed. It was either delayed because of the stream and they were playing or they weren't. The guitar player, I believe, was really playing because they zoomed in on his hands when he played the solo. Really cool idea to do at the Game Awards. Mediocre execution. I love the fact that it was done. I don't know if you saw this, but they played.
No, I didn't even know they did this.
Yeah. So they
I'm pulling it up now.
and it's essentially, I think, what we talked about at the beginning of the show, what you saw in game. But like the bass player like has his hand essentially on the same note the whole time almost. At least it seemed that way to me. Maybe it moves a little bit, but like it definitely doesn't go with the song. So it's more of an expose and a theatrical thing as opposed to a real band playing. Because it didn't sound live, the music. I couldn't get a read on it. I think I did get a
I got to be honest with you. It kind of annoys me that they did this.
Fair enough. Because it's a spoiler, first of all.
It's such a fucking cool part of that game.
Yeah.
Like, if I saw this before I saw
you wouldn't
it
know
in the
what was
game,
going on.
I think when I actually finally got to the part in the game, I think I would be kind of bummed out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still cool.
I was more
right?
upset
But
that the band wasn't really playing the song than the fact that they spoiled that shit for anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely, it seems like the drummer's playing, but like
He was playing, but it didn't seem to line up with what I was hearing.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It's how can you know? I mean, you can tell probably that the guitar player knows what he's doing, and maybe even the bass player knows what he's doing, but maybe it's all fucking lip synced and shit.
Backtracked
so like it's
and
not
shit.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it could just maybe not be a thing, right? So, but yeah, I guess there is the cool thing about Alan Wake and having it be that crossover of live action and video game CG is that they can do stuff like this.
Yeah, and it's just like
totally
the game.
works.
It's so weird.
Yeah, like it's very, very neat that you could literally go to a Old Gods of Asgard concert in real life. Like that could be a thing, and it wouldn't be like an approximation. It would be the real thing. Like that's kind of fucking cool, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Not that I want that to happen or anything, but like Sam Lake's doing fucking God's work over there at Remedy. I got to be honest with you.
It's fucking wild shit. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
It's really good shit.
It's cool. It's cool. The jury's still out on this performance. Maybe I'll watch it later or something. But like where I can actually hear it. But I will admit that I am a little bit bummed that they decided to expose this via the game.
Well, I'll say this too. Maybe you don't know this about Alan Wake 2, and this isn't a spoiler. It's just how they made it. You do know that the live action Alan Wake, the guy that plays Alan Wake, when he's talking, that's not his voice. Someone else. It's somebody else's voice. And both guys were at the Game Awards, and they were doing this live during this performance.
Well, it's like the guy that Sam Lake plays Alex Casey,
But that's his
not
voice.
Sam Lake's voice in the game, right?
Fucking weird.
Yeah,
They do some weird shit, man.
It is it's bizarro, but it like fits. Like they can do whatever the fuck they want because of how dreamlike and insane Alan Wake is.
Yeah. It's so cool, man. It's so good.
It's really neat.
All right, so that out of the way, that was the musical performance. There were some other musical performances too. I think Hellblade's, there was a music thing going on there. Monster Hunter Wilds, which I believe is the new Monster Hunter game, is confirmed for PS5 in 2025. So again, it could be 2 years away. A lot of these announcements are not like anytime soon. So we don't need to talk at length about them. But is that your understanding? Is that Monster Hunter Wilds is the sequel to Monster Hunter World, or is it a whole?
I think it's just the next. It's probably just the next mainline Monster Hunter game. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched the trailer for this, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. Like, it's not for me.
Yeah, right.
But I know that people love Monster Hunter, so this game is undoubtedly going to be enormous.
Yeah, it'll be
It's
big.
just not going to be probably for me.
Yeah, that's how I felt about a lot of things that were shown, but there were some things that were for me. The next,
There was something interesting about like how there was like so many like creatures on the screen. Like it was kind of neat how there was like a stampede, and then like there was like a stampede of predators and prey, and you're just kind of running away from all of this nonsense, and then there's like a storm blowing in. It definitely looks crazy. Monster Hunter's too complicated for me. Like I don't have the fortitude to play a game like that.
yeah, that's fair. We had a listener a while back that we were talking with all the time, and they were really into Monster Hunter. They kept trying to get us to like try it out. I forget who that was.
I played the demo of Monster Hunter World. I can't with all the stuff.
Yeah.
It's just too much for me.
So the next thing that I want to talk about, and this kind of, I didn't expect it to be this quick, but God of War Ragnarok, meaning like I thought they would be like, oh, it's coming out like March or something. The DLC is gonna be free, and it's out next week. So, and this was just like shadow dropped almost. And because they haven't advertised for it or anything. And apparently it's a roguelike version of God of War, I think. It's kind of like, from what I understand, because there was something that's like, oh, it's okay if you didn't do well this time, you'll do better next time or something. But it's apparently supposed to be taking place after the main game story, and Kratos is facing his past. So I don't know what that means, if there's going to be much story to this, or if it's like he's facing his demons, right? His mental demons, and I don't know.
I think it's literally just a roguelike add-on, kind of like Tower of Sisyphus for Returnal and shit, that it just is like a way to sort of leverage the combat system in this game, because everybody loves the combat so
great.
much. And then they just added like a story twist to it.
Okay.
Kind of like, with the Kratos thing. You know what I mean? So am I going to play this? Probably not. If it was like an actual piece of story DLC where I didn't have to worry about like dying and starting again, dying and starting and dying and starting because it's the roguelike thing, I would definitely be interested in it, but they would charge for that. They're not gonna give you free story DLC.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there are little pieces though. So I guess I'll wait till reviews, right? It's definitely gonna get reviewed. And then I'm sure a reviewer will say, oh yeah, this has more story than we thought, or yeah, it's really just like an arena.
But I will say though, like when I watched the trailer for this, dude, I always forget how awesome the combat in God of War looks.
Oh yeah,
like it has so much impact when you're playing it that it just, yeah, it makes me want to just, I don't know.
It's fantastic.
It's like the third person medieval version of fucking Doom or something, where it's just like you're just ripping these enemies apart. Like, it is just so cool.
It is really cool. Yeah, I really liked God of War, man. Both of them. The next one, Rise of the Ronin, which is a PS5 exclusive, is coming out very soon, March 2024. This is a Team Ninja game. It has very much Ghost of Tsushima vibes as far as setting, but it looks to be more kind of fast action oriented. There's some gunplay. Looks like they're focusing a little bit on story as well. So if you're into it, check it out. I think it looks good. I don't think it looks as good as Ghost of Tsushima looks, but I think there's probably a good game here. I don't know. Team Ninja has a good reputation, I believe. So
I wouldn't be surprised if this is heavily influenced by their roots in difficult action games, because they're the ones that did Neo.
Right.
So this seems to be like something that obviously has much more story, but don't be shocked if the combat is still incredibly challenging in this
Sure.
game.
It
So
didn't look
I
it,
will
but yeah,
say,
you're right.
I
Excuse
will
me.
say that I do think it looks very good, but I agree with you that I don't know that it's going to be as AAA and as polished and as thoughtful as something like a Ghost of Tsushima.
Right.
But I do think that I like the sort of industrial, like start of the industrial age kind of like mix of swords and guns. Like it's very The Last Samurai. I don't know if you remember that movie with Tom Cruise, who
Yeah.
was the like American military commander from like the Civil War or something that like got sent over to Japan to try to teach their army how to fight, and he ends up getting captured by this last like old guard of
So
samurai. And
ridiculous.
like it's a very like very interesting sort of concept, just this like like mix of these two worlds. So it could introduce some very neat combat mechanics. So I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it could. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that and how the people respond to that game. I'm not going to pick it up, but I wish them the best. Final Fantasy 16. We got the titles of the downloadable content that's coming to the game. The first one, Echoes of the Fallen, shadow dropped and is available now. And then the one after that is going to be called Rising Tide, and that will make itself available in the spring of 2014. So, Jake, I know you played Final Fantasy 16. I think that you enjoyed it. I did not play this game. Do you have any interest of jumping into the DLC?
You know what? We're getting pretty close to that time of year where we start talking about like our favorite games of the year. And I'm going to be honest, Final Fantasy 16 is definitely on that list for me. I mean, it is, in my opinion, a great game. And I really hope that at some point in time you find a gap in your schedule and maybe a reason to check it out, because I think that while it's not as much of an RPG as older Final Fantasy games, the combat is so fun. The set pieces are great. The voice acting is awesome. The setting is cool. The story is neat. And when I saw this trailer, I was like, when I saw that Final Fantasy 16 DLC was announced, I was just kind of like, eh. And then when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, like I could get back into Final Fantasy 16. The only thing that is a bummer, and we've talked about this ad nauseum on the show, is like, I don't know if I really want to have to relearn the combat and like all this stuff. Like, it's like my problem with God of War. Like God of War and Spider-Man, like these games, I'm not going to sit here and say they're the hardest games on the planet, but for me at least, it takes me a hot minute to like get comfortable
Just to warm back
with the
up.
combat.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot going on. Like there's a lot of systems in these games. It's not like the old days when you're just,
You got an A and B button.
mashing buttons,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So will I check it out? Probably not this week, but it might be, unless I've got something else in my vision. This might be one of those games I think about looking at over break. And I mean, I'm assuming it costs money though, so I guess it depends on how much it costs.
Yeah. Right. Huh. Black Myth Wukong is releasing in August of 2024. This game looks visually incredible. There were some undercurrents online about the game developer in like how they've made things really difficult for their employees, and like it's not like a good working condition there. I don't know anything about it. I'm not trying to purvey or spread this information, but this is what the internet seems to be saying, portions of the internet. I couldn't find anything about that, but that aside, the game looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scrubbing because this is like one of those trailers that I just missed. Like I've heard the name of
Yeah,
this,
it looks cool.
but like it's very bizarro. Like all of these crazy creatures, and definitely looks really
They
neat.
look like animal
I,
people.
I don't know if it's all like stuff out of like Chinese folklore or whatever, or maybe I
It's a
like I'm
single
trying to
player
see it,
action RPG for those who don't know.
but it does. I was trying to see. I was looking up Game Science, trying to see where they're from. Um, because you had mentioned something about potential humanitarian issues
Game
with the
Science
studio.
is the developer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was on the Reddit, just people talking about the Game Awards, and maybe it was even Push Square where someone was like, "Yeah, don't support this company. You know, they're treating their employees like shit. You know."
But how do you
That's what
know
I'm
and
saying. Like,
not? I
I don't
mean,
want to like
some
spread those
people are
rumors.
so like whatever. I mean, just look at
I
freaking
guess it
Hogwarts
was
Legacy and what happened to
apparently
it. So it's like,
sexism. There's an IGN
okay,
article.
but I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, is every single person in the company sexist, or is it just that like, maybe one important person happens to have a particular issue? Like, is it really like, obviously we want to condemn the actions of anyone who is acting in this way, but do we really want to punish the rest of the developers that put their heart and soul into this game? You have to make that choice for yourself personally.
According to
But
an IGN article, it says this is on IGN.com. It says we reported. Hold on. It says Game Science's unveiling of this trailer at the Game Awards, however, comes just weeks after our own report compiling numerous sexist comments made by the studio's founders and other developers spanning the last decade. As we reported, these comments have sparked a growing backlash among Chinese gamers, particularly women and their allies, who find them demeaning and alienating. Though a large contingent of other gamers have leaped to Game Science's defense in response. As a result, many of the video's discussions and communities growing around Black Myth Wukong have become spaces of ferocious debate between women demanding apology and accountability and their detractors replying with sexism and cruelty. So I have no fucking clue, and they apparently have reached out to Game Science for comment, but they have not offered any comment about any of this. So that aside, the video game itself looks fucking cool. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know much about the controversies going on about this game. I'm not dialed in as much as I should be for being a PlayStation podcast host, but this game itself hasn't really been on my radar either. So, I mean, if it was something I cared more about, maybe I would be more invested in the stories behind it. But it looks cool. So, August 2024, if you're interested. Jake, this is a cool news point that I was kind of excited about, but also a little apprehensive about. Sega kind of hit in a big way. They're trying to either rebrand or re-kickstart some of their games. They put out a nice little teaser trailer, like Crazy Taxi. There was some shots from Streets of Rage. What's that?
I love that they like tease in the trailer. They tease all of the games before they kind of show gameplay. Like there's a Shinobi cabinet like in the back of the room that they're playing in, and like there's like all this other shit going on like before they actually jump into the sort of the first look at some of these. I don't know if these games are remakes or rebrands or just new titles in these IP. But yeah, it looks like Sega's reaching into the well of some of their most storied franchises and bringing some shit out. I will say Shinobi, Golden Axe, and Streets of Rage are the three that
fucking Golden
really
Axe. Are you kidding me? Yes.
kind of throwing me a little bit of a tickle of excitement.
Yeah, Jet Set
But
Radio
we'll have
was
to
on
see
there
how
too.
they're implemented. Yeah, I never really played Jet Set Radio. I'm not, so I don't know anything about it. I know of it, but I never played it, so I'm not really sure if I would like it or not.
Some of what they showed was like early development stuff of stuff they were kind of playing with some of these. It wasn't the final versions by any stretch, it seemed, but they wanted to let you know that, hey, we're working on these things. I don't know how I feel about a 3D Streets of Rage. I did see I did see skates in the background skating, and that was badass. And then it was also a 3D Golden Axe situation. But I mean,
which makes more sense than Streets of Rage.
Right.
Like, Streets of Rage is like a side scroller beat 'em up. Golden Axe could easily be an ARPG, like an action RPG.
Dude.
Like Diablo or something.
Golden
like
Axe
that.
was so cool. It's a great name for a game.
Yeah. It's very classic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. All right. Anyways, I'm excited about that. So we'll see what comes of all of that down the road. Visions of Mana. We got a trailer for this. It's coming to PS5, PS4 in 2024. This looks like to be an RPG, I believe. I don't know if this has anything to do with The Secret of Mana.
It's the same. It's like the new. My understanding is it's like the new entry in that series.
Okay.
From Square Enix. So I don't have a lot to say about it, but I did think this trailer looked good. I think the game looks good.
Oh yeah.
So we'll just
sure.
have to see how it comes out.
Yeah, time will tell. Here's something that like you would think would be awesome, but every time we've gotten a game about Jurassic Park, it seems to suck. And I've never even played one, but like if it was good, people would fucking be talking.
Sure.
But we haven't really had a Jurassic Park game that has turned heads, so to speak. There's a new first-person Jurassic Park game called Jurassic Park Survival coming to PS5. I don't know how I feel about it. I haven't watched a Jurassic Park movie in forever. Dinosaurs are cool, I get it, but like, I don't know.
To be fair, the trailer's really neat.
Yeah, it looks cool.
I don't know, like it like the graphics look great, and I love that. What the fuck?
I heard that. Your cat was meowing, dude.
My cat, something's wrong with it.
Oh god.
No, he just does that sometimes. I love that one of the first shots in the trailer is them recreating the classic kitchen sequence from the original Jurassic Park movie. Like, I don't know if you noticed that or not, but where I don't remember the name of the girl from Jurassic Park is like hiding from the velociraptors in the kitchen. Like they recreated that sequence.
Interesting.
And so I don't know what this is going to mean from a gameplay perspective, but it's kind of a neat idea, right? Like you're trying to survive dinosaurs fucking hunting you.
Is it
until a helicopter can come pick you up or something?
Is this like the Friday the 13th game where players can control the dinosaurs and some people play the humans, and it's just like this?
That's a great question. I don't know if this is a multiplayer, single player game or not. I just assumed it was single player, but I guess it could be like an asymmetric multiplayer game or something like that. That would be very interesting.
So, real quick fun fact about Jurassic Park Survival: it was canceled a long time ago. It was in development from Savage Entertainment, and it was going to be published by Konami. And it got canceled. So this is actually the revival, at least of the same title. So they kept,
it was canceled like literally 20 years ago. Like
yeah, for PS2. So it's come out on PS2, like 2001. Yeah, way back in the day. So this is like, I don't know if they're like hoping that they can brew some excitement up because they're like, oh, this is that fucking game that canceled 20 years ago. It's actually happening. Or like if it's supposed to be the spiritual version of what that game was going to be that got canceled. I don't know.
I would assume so.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, enough about Jurassic Park. Hello Games, the studio behind No Man's Sky, announced their next new IP, and it's titled Light No Fire. And why this is interesting is because while No Man's Sky is like an eternal solar system or universe or whatever the fuck you want to call it, Light No Fire is actually a true sized version of Earth that you can just is your playground. And I think that like there will be colonies and people hanging out, and like I don't know, I love the idea of this. It seemed like there are some medieval things different depending on where you're at, maybe on the planet. Like there's different cultures and different kinds of people and species, and like it seems really creative, man. Hello Games better be careful. They've learned a lot, I think, with No Man's Sky, and I just hope that whatever it is that they're doing, they know not to say more than what it is. But what we saw, it wasn't like graphically holy fucking shit, but it was like the premise is really interesting.
It looked very much to me like they took everything they learned about No Man's Sky and they poured it into this game.
Yeah.
Down to the multiplayer and the like. What is intriguing about this to me is not only that it's fantasy instead of science fiction, but that all of the procedural generation, I think, is going to take place on one planet.
Right.
Like you're on the planet.
Everybody's
and as you
on
run
the
around, it's made for you. Right. So they're like the most impressive thing about No Man's Sky. I mean, obviously everybody is upset about the messaging or whatever, but the most impressive thing about that game was how they were able to procedurally generate the universe.
Right.
And like hundreds of thousands of freaking planets that are all planet-sized planets, and it's all being built in real time, and it's pretty insane. And I would love to, and I'm really anxious to see how they flex those muscles that they've built over the last 10 years into like a more not curated necessarily, but like a more sort of zoomed in fantasy single planet. You know, you're procedurally generating ecosystems rather than like whole planets and things like that. And what does this mean for the gameplay? I don't know. I think it looks really good.
Here's my question.
But everybody's going to be obviously waiting with bated breath to see if what they're showing is what it will end up being. And I think that Hello Games is being very careful about their messaging with this, because they said something in the trailer about like how this is showing real-time multiplayer footage. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you remember seeing that like in the trailer. It said something along those lines, because like the multiplayer aspect was very vague in the messaging of the original No Man's Sky. So I think that they hopefully learned their lesson, and this game will end up being more of a success from the get rather than what No Man's Sky had to do with their redemption arc.
So if it's really Earth-sized, this planet, and you have a character, when you play as your character, my questions are these. Is there a fast travel system? I hope not. I hope that it takes you 6 hours to fly your plane or whatever the fuck mode of transportation you have to get to another part of the world. Like how far would 6 hours in a jet get you in real life? Where could you go in 6 hours from Pennsylvania?
That would be like California, probably.
Right. So could you
Maybe
imagine
a little bit farther than that?
Could you imagine if wherever you spawn, your first spawn into this world, like this is your home, and then like you just have to fucking explore and get to these other locations and see what the hell else is out there. And I love the idea of this. And like everybody who buys this game spawns in different places. So like maybe you spawn and you're part of whatever fucking culture or fucking species, and you have a friend who's part of another species, and you don't know where each other are. And like you have to make a fucking map and figure it out, like explore, find where one another are. Like that sounds so interesting and cool to me, because if it's life-sized planet, like obviously, like, you know what I mean, like in-game life-size, it's not an approximation or it's not smoke and mirrors to make it seem like, oh yeah, you're on a big planet, but like you're actually on a planet that takes you like Jake said, like if you have a flying machine, 6 hours to get the equivalent from one side of the country to the next, and that's just a country, and then you have the rest of the world still, and like there are other people out there, and like are there warring factions? Is there a through line? Is there a story? What does each culture, what does each species, country, or people try to? What's your goal? Right? Is it, I don't know. It just seems so interesting. It's like almost like Second Life, but like maybe not. Or every time you spawn in, you get to tell it where you want to go. There is fast travel. You can just pop up where the fuck you want and just look around. I don't know. I like the idea of it being more like region based. Like, I don't know. I think it's really fucking cool. It's like a fucking social experiment.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, let's move on. Dude, Don't Nod, studio behind Banishers, Son of New Eden, or whatever it's called, something of New Eden. Also, the makers of Life is Strange showed off another new project of theirs called Lost Records Bloom and Rage. This is interesting. It's weird. It's like it starts off with these kids. They're in a garage band. They find like something happens to them. They're older now. They're adults. And they're like, why now? Why is this happening now to us? Why now? So it's like almost like horror. Don't Nod on like a little bit of a horror kind of twinge of horror. I don't know.
It's more like thriller, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's interesting. I don't know what it's about. They didn't reveal much, but they're working on that. The Banishers, what is it? Ghosts of New Eden? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game looks dope.
Mm-hmm. This trailer was cool.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. It definitely looks cool, but I don't know what we're gonna get out of it.
Yeah, I thought it looked a little weird.
I assume it looks more. It seems like it's another Life is Strange-esque kind of game.
Yeah, right,
and
right.
So
the style,
it's probably gonna be great.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, it just might not be for everybody.
New studio called Archetype Games, comprised of former BioWare 343 and Naughty Dog employees, have shown off a game called Exodus, and it features the voice acting of Matthew McConaughey. This game is about light traveling at the speed of light, and how time for yourself doesn't pass, but everything around you, time does pass. This is the same thing behind that game where you fly a spaceship, and it wasn't like a huge budget. I played it briefly because I thought it looked interesting. Oh God, I wish I knew what it was called now. But anyways, same premise. But this is more of a sci-fi RPG action romp. But that game I'm thinking of, man, oh God, it was on PS Plus. Oh Jesus, it's gonna drive me crazy. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
FTL?
No, what?
Was it FTL?
No, it was like more cartoony, and you just kind of go. You just keep going, like away from the camera, and you're kind of you find different settlements, and then you meet them. Like you've been selected to preserve humanity, and you're just going. I forget what it's called, God. But anyways, I get that vibe from this. And Matthew McConaughey was at the Game Awards. It is what it is. I like him as an actor. I think he's fun. This game, the cutscenes look good. The gameplay looked a little rough, in my opinion. It looked like it wasn't smooth. It looked a little robotic in a weird way. What'd you think of this Exodus showing?
I'm excited for it. I'm very interested. The pedigree of BioWare 343 and Naughty Dog is pretty great. So if they're doing a Mass Effect style game, or even like a sci-fi third-person action game with some RPG kind of elements to it, if it's got that kind of writing and everything, I don't know, like it could be a big deal. So we'll just have to see kind of how it plays out. But this is mainly just, I don't want to say it was all cinematic, but it's just a taste of what it could be. And I kind of like the premise, and I like what's going on, and there's some emotion in the trailer that leads me to believe that it might have some good writing to it, and so I'm interested in what it will end up turning out to be.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell this game's called. I'm with you 100%. The game looks interesting, but I just don't know. I don't know, man. I just feel like there were some minor red flags that came up when I saw some of the gameplay. It just didn't look like it was super awesome. PSN game. What the fuck game is this called? Jesus. It was like an indie game. Indie game, fly a spaceship around different worlds. Oh my God. What is this game called? I've talked about it on the show. Dude, if you guys can remember what this game is, I know someone listening knows what this game is. It completely is breaking my concentration on the podcast. It's not Ascent, not Hyperspace. It's not No Man's Sky. Jesus, not Subnautica, not Starfield. God, it was on my wish list for a while even. It doesn't matter. Let's move on to the next news point. Supermassive Games and Behavior Interactive, who are the creators of Dead by Daylight, have teamed up for another cinematic horror game. It's going to be single player, called The Casting of Frank Stone. Terrible name for a video game. Don't even know what that means. Who's Frank Stone? Why are they casting him? Are they talking about casting in a movie? Are they talking about like putting him in a cast? I don't know what it means. Casting him out of society. What does that mean? It's a terrible name. I like Supermassive. It looked fine to me. I love the shit that they do. Jake, anything on that?
I think that the trailer looked cool. Like, I love the idea of... So this Dead by Daylight thing is like a... I think it's like a... I want to say it's like a hardcore, like roguelike fucking dungeon diver kind of game, but it's like horror and there's all kinds of crazy shit going on. And like, I love the trailer made it seem like it was like there's this idea that these kids just kind of stumble into this sort of thing that's happening. It would almost be like, imagine them doing like a game where like random fucking kids stumbled onto the island of Battle Royale or something like that. And it's very like, and they don't know what the fuck is happening. Like they're not privy to like the rules of the world and all this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I think that could be a cool concept for a game.
That is the concept of like, every Battle Royale movie, is like you get thrown into this thing and you're like, what's happening? And then like someone next to you gets fucking mowed down. You're like, oh, fucking run.
Well, I mean, if you think about stuff like Hunger Games or whatever, like they all know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
so
they know the rules of the road. Whereas like if you were just like, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like, I don't know. It seems cool. And Supermassive is great at doing these types of games.
Yeah, they are.
I know they haven't had anything hit quite as well as Until Dawn, but I know that people have liked a lot of their other games in the Dark Pictures stuff and even the Quarry and everything. So having them take a whack at utilizing someone else's IP in something kind of as interesting as Dead by Daylight could be cool, and it could get people interested in the Dead by Daylight franchise.
Yeah, dude, I think it's a good team up. I think it's a good double dragon situation for studios to team up, be Billy and Jimmy, maybe. Two characters from Double Dragon. I don't remember their names. The game Jet the Far Shore is the game I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Where like you get elected to go on this crazy light speed trip, and then everyone back home is going to die. So, anyways, Jesus, that was going to drive me crazy. Sorry, I had to look it up. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that game. Everything Supermassive does, I'm in. A really cool game called No Rest for the Wicked is confirmed for PS5 from Moon Studios. This is like a super stylistic looking Diablo kind of game. It kind of has Darkest Dungeon art style, but like better maybe even. Like, I don't know, it looks really cool.
This game looks dope as fuck.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
Moon Studios were the ones we never got it on PlayStation, but they're the ones that did those Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisp or whatever for Xbox, and those games are really well regarded. So I think that we can sort of assume that they're a competent developer, and I think that this trailer shows a game that I would definitely be interested in playing. It looks very, like you said, it looks like Diablo, but it looks stylish in a unique and interesting way. Mm-hmm. Unlike a lot of the games like that we've seen that are either very I don't know if you want to call them dark fantasy, like realistic kind of, or they're kind of cartoony. Like this is somewhere towards more the cartoony realm, but like in a dark and interesting kind of style. I don't know. It's
like a
very
grimdark kind of
cool.
thing. Yeah, it's super cool, dude. I never even heard of this game, so that was a nice little surprise. Skull and Bones, which has been postponed and delayed like probably at least 20 times, now has an official release date for the PS5. February 16th, 2024. Is this Ubisoft? EA? Who's making this game?
Ubisoft.
I don't even really care about it. I mean, it looks fine. It looks... Dude, I don't know. It's like they show like a really awesome CG... they show a cool CG trailer, this. Dude. Yeah, and then it's just like the game looks kind of lame. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even care. Next one is such a disappointment, but I will accept it because I know it will be worth it. Warhammer 40K Space Marines 2 said it was going to be winter of 2024. This is early winter. We got a release date of September 9th, 2024. So we're about 9 months away from Space Marines 2.
It's fine. I do agree with you that when I saw this, I was like, "Whoa, that they pushed it back a lot farther than I expected them to." But there's a lot of shit coming out at the beginning of this year. And if they're like, "Hey, we can avoid that window and we can add a bunch of polish to this game and maybe release a banger in the fall of 24, go for it." In my opinion, I got shit to play.
Yeah,
you only get a sequel to Space Marine once.
This is true.
Like I don't want to be playing any duds over here.
Yeah,
so
make
just
it good.
Take your time, make it good.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
There's another game, Jake, that they has been out and it got really good feedback. It's been out for a while, but it has been confirmed to come to PS5 on March 7th, 2024. It's called As Dusk Falls. I'm not sure about it. I don't know if you've heard anything about it, but it looks like a game that you make decisions in, but it looks like a lot of, like, no animation maybe, but just like a lot, like a comic book. Like,
it's like a visual novel style.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it's like cel-shaded, like real images of people. Like it's very interesting. This has been out on Xbox for a while now, and people seem to really dig it. So it's not a game that I'm gonna play, but if you're into that visual novel style, you're into the decision-making kind of games, this might be something for you. I think it has a pretty good story and everything from what I've heard, so
yeah,
maybe check it out if you're into it, but it's not for me.
All right. From the Persona developer, they announced Metaphor RE or RE Fantasio.
Fantasio, yeah.
So I don't know anything about it. I'm not the Persona dude. Jake, any interest in this?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in the game. The fact that it's coming out next fall of next year is totally fine to me. I think that we need to probably spread some of the, and if this is anything like Persona 5 or like Persona in general, it's gonna be long as fuck. So I don't necessarily like Persona 5. The first time I played it, I think took me 115 hours to beat. And so, and that's not like doing all the crazy shit. That's just like, that's how long it took me to beat the game. So I am 100% okay with only having one of these games in a year. And if I got to wait until whatever, fall of next year to play this, I'm totally fine with it. But I think the game looks awesome.
Interesting.
Those guys, they make dope games. You have to be into that style, that like anime style game. If you're not into it, it's going to be maybe a little bit difficult to get past that in order to play it. But I think this one looks like it's a little bit more action oriented, a little bit less turn based like Persona is. So it might be if you're interested in getting into that developer's work, but maybe you're not interested necessarily in turn-based games, this might be something for you.
All right.
But it's worth checking out.
Well,
I'm excited.
All right.
For
fair
sure.
enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Not on my list, but I'm glad you knew something about it. We're getting a playable demo for the upcoming Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown on January 11th, 2024, which will be a week before it launches. I'm getting big Strider vibes from this game. Although not as pretty as Strider, I still think this is the right direction for Prince of Persia. Like a 2D action platformer, Shinobi-esque, Strider-esque. I think this is how the game started.
They're going back, yeah.
Yeah. This is what Prince of Persia is meant to be, I believe. So
I know. I know people really want like a proper remake of like Sands of Time or Warrior Within or something like that, which were like the first 3D Prince of Persia games on Xbox. They might have come out on PlayStation 2, but those games were sick as fuck. But like, I think that Prince of Persia, I don't know that it has the zeitgeist that it once did. And so I think that this is how you build interest, is throw something out like this, maybe a little bit lower budget, get it out there, get people interested in the IP, and then maybe consider doing like a proper remake of Sands of Time or something like that.
yeah.
But am I going to play this? I don't know. I'll have to see when it comes out. I've never really been like the biggest Prince of Persia fan. I guess I should just say I don't have any real attachment to it, but I'm excited for those people that have been clamoring for a Prince of Persia game for a while. But I think this game has been in development for a while, so I don't know what's going on there. But hopefully it's good.
Yeah. I think when a game like this is in development for a while, I think that's a good sign. It's hard to be. I mean, the gameplay's got to feel right. And like if it is a platformer with spikes and stuff that you got to make sure you can like double jump around and stuff, like they just got to get the controls right. And if they do, it could be really good. There's a new multiplayer shooter called The Finals, and it is available now on the PS5. It's free to play, and the first season is live. You know, this game doesn't look like it sucks. I just bet it won't succeed because there's so many fucking games.
Well, it's free to play too, so you have to be on point with your content in the free to play space for people to stick around.
Yeah.
And I think the game looks great.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that I'm going to be all that interested in playing, but I think it looks great, if I'm being completely honest.
I might give it a shot. If it's something you can pick up and put down quickly.
Yeah.
Might be worth
it. I honestly love the style of it.
I think
it looks cool.
I agree. A show that I didn't watch, Jake, was the Twisted Metal TV show. I never got through the first episode. I didn't have the energy to. Not that it was bad, anything, but the main actor, I forget his name, made an appearance, and he did confirm that the Twisted Metal TV show did get approved for a new season. I believe that's on Amazon. Is that Amazon?
No, it's Paramount Plus. I think that's why I haven't watched it.
No, it's something else. You sure?
I'm pretty sure it's Paramount. Yeah.
We don't have that, but I had access to it at one point. Twisted Metal TV show. It doesn't even say.
Seriously? Like, do you know how to Google?
Yeah, dude. I typed Twisted Metal TV show. All it is about the characters and who's in it. Didn't say who.
Twisted Metal TV
What?
show streaming.
Channel. Peacock. Well, we're both wrong. They're all the fucking same to me. All right. Moving forward. Action RPG. The first Berserker, Kazan, showed us a gameplay trailer. It's got a weird visual art style. It didn't jump out at me. I got nothing on this one either.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like it looks cool, but it also looks kind of generic at the same time. Like, this might be one of those games that is gonna live on hype. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not I'm trying to see who the developer is for this. Do you know?
No, I don't.
Like, is it somebody that I've heard of before? I'm like on the website right now, and I'm Nexon. So, unless Nexon is the publisher, I'm not really sure. It does have some kind of Dark Soulsy kind of vibes to the combat, so I'm not. I don't know. I'm just. We've been getting a lot of games like this recently, so something really has to kind of jump out. It's almost like a lot of these games, I just need to, like, I don't even care until it launches.
Right.
And then people are like, this is how cool the game is. And then I can be like, oh, I should care about it. All right, I'll take a look at it. But, like, so many of these games, it's just, like, I can't tell the difference between all of these, like, action fucking RPG Souls-like games. Like, they all just seem the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not saying it's going to be bad. It could be great. But I have no real opinion on it, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I think it looks good, but it's difficult to tell what's going on here. Souls-like stuff, I'm not really into. Art style looks good, but I don't know. It's gonna face some adversity to stand out in a crowd, I think. Persona 3 Reload trailer. Jake, Persona dude, you good?
I'm excited. I actually really do want to play this game. So I probably will wait to see how well the game, like what they did with the remake.
Yeah. Because
the whole reason why I haven't played Persona 3 yet is because the way that the dungeon, the Tartarus, I think is what they call it, maybe, or like the fucking tower or whatever the hell it is. It didn't, like, it's like, my understanding is that it's very antiquated. So I'm very curious how they adapt the combat to be a little bit more modern in terms of the dungeon crawly aspect of it. So as far as, I don't know, dungeon crawly is not really the right way to put it, but the way that the dungeons work. So, but that said, I am pretty excited to play this game because from what I understand, the story is super dark and apparently pretty good. So
okay,
I loved 4, I loved 5. I'm interested in playing for sure.
All right, happy to hear it. Exoborn, an extraction shooter that I think has people who've worked on The Division working on this game. is developed by Shark Mob, and it's going to have story, content updates, live elements, and is going to be releasing on the PS5. Dude, I don't know, man. There's a lot of games like this. Again, it's just like,
I mean,
it looks good.
The trailer looks good, but you lost me at extraction shooter. So it's not. Dude, remember? I remember in the first division going into the dark zone for the first time
And just
and
getting
being
trounced.
like, nope. I noped out so fucking fast that it was like, dude, I absolutely hate the idea of putting effort into a game and then having somebody gank you at the last minute and just losing all your progress. Like, it's the whole reason why I never got into Grand Theft Auto Online. Dude, I play games to kind of immerse and relax. I don't play games to, like, fucking have to worry about other players who are way better than me just stealing all my shit because I think it's funny. Like, that just doesn't really do it for me. So, yeah, I know extraction shooters are in right now. I am interested in seeing more about this game just from a academic perspective, but there's no fucking way I'm going to play it if it's an extraction shooter. Period.
Dude, that's so funny to me. Yeah, I'm not going to dive in. I'm just going to wait for the next division. And then we got a couple left, and then we almost nailed our 2023 Game Awards chat to about 1 hour, which is awesome. A new EA Originals title was shown. It's called Tales of Kenzera, ZAU. It's an action platformer. This looks good. People get excited about these EA original games. They're usually handled correctly. They're usually received well, and I think this game looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down for I don't want to say always, but there's a lot of times where I am just in the mood for a good platformer.
Right.
To, like, just cleanse the palate and dude, usually at least a couple times a year, once or twice a year, I'll pull my Super Nintendo out of the closet just to play, like, some old fucking platformers like Super Mario World and stuff. And it just does such a good job of just cleansing my palate from all of these super intense, like, visual and narrative experiences that we get now. And
Right.
so, you know, I could definitely see something like this being a good way to do that. And I'm glad that EA is pushing forward with their originals program and not kind of what do you want to say? Not letting it die after. What was the most recent EA Originals game that? Oh, Immortals of Avium, which was like a dud. Even though apparently it was a decent game, like, it just didn't sell. So I'm glad that they're sticking with it, though, and I'd like to see a developer like EA or a publisher like EA even invest in some of these smaller titles. I think it's really good for the industry.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good for everybody. And if the game is awesome, that's good optically also for EA. And last news point, really. And then we can talk briefly about the Hideo Kojima thing, even though it's not going to be a PS5 thing, I don't believe. But Thrasher sounds a lot like a game called Thumper because it is created by the same developer, and it's going to be a VR game. There, however, has been no mention specifically that it will be coming to VR 2. I can't imagine that it won't be. But this game looks interesting, and I don't know that it looks better than Thumper, but once you get in the fucking headset, maybe it is. But Thumper is still one of my favorite VR games of all time. But this game's cool. I'm glad they're doing something.
It seems definitely to be some kind of a spiritual successor to Thumper. It looks to me like it's going to be more motion control based versus sort of rhythm controller, like, timing based.
Yeah.
which is a bummer to me because I don't know that I want to be like waving my arms around in the air to like play one of their games, but um we'll just have to see. It seems like it's very much I don't know, informed by Thumper with like the big bosses and like all of that kind of thing. So but I don't know that I actually watched the trailer with the music, because that was one of the things that was awesome about Thumper was the environment, the atmosphere, the sound, the music, everything was just top tier with Thumper. So I'm curious how they will sort of roll that aesthetic experience into this game.
Yeah, really, yeah, dude. I can't imagine they're gonna do a bad job, and I only say that because, my God, Thumper was just done so well. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it'll be fine. I just wonder if the gameplay, like the input method, is going to vibe with me as much as the on rails rhythm of Thumper.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Did you want to talk briefly about the Hideo Kojima thing, or no? Not even worth it?
So, yeah, I mean, it's apparently an Xbox game. You're talking about the OD trailer.
Yep.
It's very intriguing in like a Hideo Kojima fashion. It's like all of these people saying the same phrase, but like in very weird ways, like different ways. And then like clearly something fucking bizarre happens at the end where like the girl reading it out is like clearly getting upset and starts screaming. And like, I just want to know what this is.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be a game that I'm interested in? I don't know. But there's one thing that you cannot say about, if there's one thing that you can't say about Hideo Kojima, it's that like his shit is not interesting. Like when he puts out a trailer, you are done watching that trailer wondering what the fuck is going on and wanting to know what the fuck is going on.
It's a really hard thing to do.
It's not like one of these things where it's like, oh, that trailer was random and weird and like I don't really care about it because whatever. It's like, no, Kojima puts a trailer out and it's random and weird and you're like, I gotta know what the fuck is happening.
I need
here.
more info, right?
Yeah. And so I'm excited about it. Whether or not I'm gonna play the game remains to be seen. Whether or not I care about the game remains to be seen. But Kojima puts out fucking just
bonker stuff,
crazy, interesting, and unique stuff. And there's nothing, and he's always leveraging technology in very cool and unique ways. He always has great soundtracks. He always has great actors, great voice acting, great performance capture. Like, you know this shit's gonna be a banger for somebody, regardless of whether or not it jives with you or me. Right. So it's gonna shake the industry. And that's what I'm most interested in.
People are going to start talking. Yeah. And the cool thing about it is he also said he's teaming up, and Jordan Peele made an appearance. And Jordan Peele is like comedian, firstly, but like is almost becoming a better movie director or creator. Like he's done Get Out. He's done, it was called The Others or something like that. I forget what it was called, but he's done some scary movies, and he's got a wicked mind, man. So those two guys working together, they clearly respect one another. And Jordan had a lot to say about Kojima's this project, and he said, "Man, you guys aren't even ready for what this game's gonna be. Like you've seen nothing like this before, I promise." And like it seems so believable from him. It didn't sound like lip service or like advertising. Like coming from Jordan Peele, like he seems like he's a straight shooter. I don't think you could pay him any amount of money to get him to like hype something that he wasn't actually excited about. So he seems straight about stuff. So I'm excited to see what this is. But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it for the Game Awards. There were 4 other quick news points before we head out, Jake. The next news, overall, real quick, on the Game Awards, were you satisfied with what was shown? anything you wish you would have seen that didn't make an appearance?
I don't know if I have any comment on that per se, but I feel like they showed a lot of good stuff, but I didn't see anything that really kind of gave me wowzers in my trousers, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, it was good. There was some interesting stuff, but we didn't get any, like, Sony banger, like, this is the next Ghost of Tsushima, or this is the next, like, here's gameplay from Wolverine, or here's, like, the next Naughty Dog title, or anything like that. Like, we got God of War DLC, fine, whatever. I don't care about this because it seems to be just like a roguelike expansion. But, like, I don't know, there's some stuff in there that I thought was pretty freaking cool. Like, Rise of the Ronin, Final Fantasy 16 DLC, shadow dropping is pretty neat. Like I said before, the Visions of Mana trailer looked pretty neat.
Yeah.
The Hello Games thing looked awesome. The Exodus game looked dope. So there was shit there that, like, was cool.
Substantive,
but there wasn't anything there where I was like, oh man, like, this is gonna, like, shake the industry.
Dude, I will say this also. I'm with you. There's one thing that I wish would have made an appearance that didn't, because I don't know when the fuck it's going to happen. But Darkest Dungeon 2 was not announced for console or anything. And, like, it's been out on PC for a while now, and it's becoming very much enjoyed by a lot of people. And it's just like, come on, just bring it to console.
I will say, and I know you don't have it on this list because it's not probably going to be on PlayStation, but Arcane over on the Xbox side for Bethesda is doing a Blade game, which is pretty, like the Marvel property Blade, the Vampire Hunter, which is pretty fucking cool. Like, I'm curious what that's going to be. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I would say that this is like a solid good.
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing, like, I'm not, like, I was excited to check everything out, and I wasn't disappointed by what I saw, but I wasn't blown away either.
I think, and this just again speaks to the beginning of our show of how important Grand Theft Auto 6 is. That trailer came out before the Game Awards show, and there was nothing at the Game Awards show that gave me the same vibe as that Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer. And that's just fucking Rockstar money and Rockstar talent there. And it's just like, man, I would have loved to have seen something huge. There weren't really any major big titles for Sony. We didn't get anything on the Wolverine. We didn't see anything about factions, like you were saying, Jake. We didn't see anything, of what, I don't even. We just didn't
what's Sony been doing?
Exactly.
How long
Thank
has it
you.
been
Right.
since Days Gone came out?
Yeah.
Like, it's been a long time. Like, there's
been no sound.
What about these, like, 15 different fucking Horizon projects that are happening? Like, what's going on? I don't know. I mean, we're talking specifically about Sony first party, obviously, but
Sony's keeping it close.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
where I'm at, though.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so the other quick news points are there were some, because we'd be remiss not to bring this up, there were some random PSN account bans that were happening for just players, and they didn't know what was going on. They were getting onto their PlayStation, said your account has been banned, terminated, or whatever, and then with no reason, and these people were just regular gamers like you and I, and then out of nowhere, Sony started reversing these bans that were imposed on gamers by accident but Sony has not yet offered any explanation as to why this happened or how it happened. So that's really fucking weird. That's a thing that's going on behind the scenes of all this shit that we were just talking about. I don't have anything else to say about that. Jake, do you have any comment on that, or just it's a developing story?
My guess is that something in their automation for their bands and stuff probably went cuckoo, and they had to just fix it. But yeah, I mean, maybe if I had firsthand experience with this, I would be a little bit more excited about it. Yeah. But I don't know. As long as Sony's fixing it for the people that were affected, I'm not necessarily too worried about it.
Touche. Yeah, I just it's just weird when shit like that happens and the company doesn't offer any kind of, hey, we know this thing occurred, we're correcting it, sorry. There's not even that. Anyways, Bungie, the employees over there at Bungie are starting to get worried. They've pushed out some of their Destiny shit. They've pushed out stuff. They've let people go. They're now concerned that they're missing financial targets that Sony has put in place for them. And they're saying that, as far as what can happen is that Sony apparently is able to dissolve the structure of Bungie and take complete control over the company if specific revenue goals are not met by Bungie. This is part of their agreement. So this is interesting, and the workers there, I don't know if they all are concerned, but this was a news article on Push Square that there is some concern that there's going to be a complete Sony takeover at Bungie. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that even happens. I don't know, but I mean, this is newsworthy. And if the workers at Bungie are concerned that that's going to happen, that implies that they don't want this to happen for whatever reason they may have, but they are worried that they're missing their financial targets right now. So it's not going in a great direction over there. Jake.
Well, I mean, Sony owns Bungie, so I'd be shocked if they didn't have the ability to sort of do what the fuck they want. I mean, obviously Bungie made this deal with guaranteeing some autonomy in terms of the way that they release their games and things like that. But there's no way Sony just spent $3 billion on Bungie and was just like, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. They probably had stipulations in their contract that was like, we're spending a lot of money on you. We're spending a lot of money to keep your talent. You need to hit these revenue goals. Otherwise,
we're jumping in.
We'll take over. And Bungie's, I think, in a bad way right now. Their shit's not hitting like it should, and players aren't happy. And so I'm a little bit curious how this is going to work out for them. But I think that probably what's going on more than anything is that some of the Bungie staff are probably getting out there and expressing their concern as sort of a way to preemptively push back against Sony doing something like this. Because if they come out and they say stuff like this, obviously the community and the industry is going to rise up to their defense against the big bad Sony or whatever.
Oh, when people get let off, then it's Sony's fault, right? It's nobody else's.
Yeah. So like Sony they're doing this so that maybe Sony will be a little bit cautious about making any drastic moves or whatever. But in reality,
money's money, dude.
You were acquired as under the assumption that you could provide a specific value to Sony.
Right.
And if you're not providing that value, then they have the right to do whatever they need to do to kind of extract more value out of the company. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, or people should or should not be upset about people being laid off. Obviously, it sucks when people lose their jobs. I don't advocate for people losing their jobs when at all possible. I'm just saying that, like, there are two sides to this coin, and it's not necessarily Sony's fault.
Right.
That Bungie is failing to accomplish their goals. We may find out that it is. Maybe Sony's putting unrealistic expectations on them. Maybe Sony is forcing Bungie to do things that they didn't want to do. But
put them in the old vice grips.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, there's not much of a point to us speculating too hard on this when we have nothing but conjecture and just guesswork as to what the actual situation is here. Because Sony is so tight-lipped about business goings on that you're not going to know what's really going on inside of Bungie. It just isn't going to happen.
Right,
so,
right. And the other thing is, too, if you think about it, how many times I don't know, squeaky wheels get the grease, right? And you could just have a handful of employees that are just fucking running their mouths because they're unhappy, that are just paranoid people. But I don't know, where there's smoke, there's sometimes fire. Mostly there is, but you're right.
Sony just laid off a bunch of people from Bungie, so
right.
It's not like it's unfounded,
right?
But they could be doing a little bit of self-preservation talk here too, which is, to be considered.
Yeah, dude, it could be a number of things like that, dude. Phew, time will tell. We'll see what happens with Bungie. The saga will continue. Two more news points. Among Us was a big game last year during COVID, especially during the big pandemic. It is now shadow dropped, available on VR2. You can play it. You can play it in VR if that was your jam. You can get in there and do the chore list thing and then find out who the imposter is. So I don't know. That's cool.
Yeah.
I kind of be curious to see what it looks like in VR, to be honest. It probably is pretty fun. Probably way more intense because you're in the spaceship and you have to follow signs to get to where you need to go in VR, right? Like if you have to go do the thing. It's probably way cooler in VR, to be honest. Than
I'd have to see the perspective.
First person,
really
I hope.
Matters. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be really cool. All right, and then lastly, we got to talk about this. We don't have to talk a lot about it, but there was a new mode announced for The Last of Us Part 2, the remaster, and it's called No Return. There's a lot of Naughty Dog advertising for this now, and it just seems kind of like a roguelite, but you can play as different characters and stuff. It looks kind of cool, man. And it looks like it's going to add some quality of life to the game. I will admit that while some people don't like the way the combat and like the moment-to-moment action is in The Last of Us Part 2, I actually do like it. Some people think it feels a little sluggish, or like it's not as responsive as they want it to feel, or like it just feels like it's too realistic. Dude, I fucking love it. I think it's awesome. So this might be fun to try. I'm kind of on the fence about all this Last of Us remastered shit. I didn't get the last one that they did for Part 1, but I don't know. It's tough. Jake, that's all I have for the show. Because we're recording this Friday evening, there is no new list of games for this week posted yet. We get all that stuff from Push Square. They have not put the article up. So there's nothing I can really say about that. We could have done some research, but really, what's the point? You guys just go on the PSN, look around. That's all I have. I hope that the listeners enjoyed tis season in Northwest Pennsylvania last week, and we're going to put it on again this week. And Jake, do you have anything closing for the listeners? This has been a very long episode of PS is Awesome. It's been episode 306, and I hope that everybody enjoyed it. Jake, I'm going to let you say whatever you need to say, and then we'll call it a night.
While I may not be all that interested in God of War Valhalla, the new roguelike mode for God of War Ragnarok, there is a song called Valhalla by the German metal band Blind Guardian that is fucking awesome.
Okay.
So if you're interested in consuming something called Valhalla, but you may not be into God of War, check out specifically a live performance of Blind Guardian playing Valhalla because it's fucking insane. Anyway, that's all I gotta say.
Good to know.
I haven't eaten anything since fucking lunch.
Yeah.
So, and Sarah's not home right now, so I'm probably gonna go like make some fucking pizza rolls or some shit.
That sounds awesome, actually. Pizza rolls sounds so good right now. Dude, yeah. I'll tell you this, and then I'll let you eat, but Mike Fritz, the guy who did the artwork for the Flood record and the Wonderful Land record, he sent me a link to, and he's really into metal, and I wanted to share this with you before we get off the phone or off the call. He sent this thing, and maybe you know about it, but there's a super group, okay, and they're called Slower, Slower, and they're members from other bands, and they are a Slayer cover band. But they play the Slayer songs slower. But they're so fucking raunch and like metal and like they got some fucking weight to them. And they're really good. You got to check them out, dude. They're called Slower. I don't know how you... So
they literally just play Slayer songs, but slower.
Slower... And like they just sound meaner. Yeah, they're awesome. It sounds awesome. Like it's just like I don't know, man. It just sounds fucking rad. You should check them out.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, for sure. I was so happy that Fritz sent me that. I was sitting at work and I put that on. I was like, yeah, this is what I needed for Friday. Anyways, that's it for the podcast. It's been episode 306 of PS This Is Awesome. We talked about the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, our reaction to that, the Game Awards 2023, breaking down all of the releases that we thought were pertinent and our opinions on them. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today. And if you do, we ask that you jump into our Patreon, subscribe for $1 a month, throw $1 our way if you can. If you cannot, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. It's been sitting at the same subscriber count for a long time, and that is what it is. Our audience comes and goes. Some people stick around. If you want to write the show, please write the show. We've been at it a long time. We're not going anywhere. We appreciate you listening. With that being said, stay warm. It's December. We hope you get your game on. Keep the controller charged, and we will talk with you soon. So, Jake, like open roads, Omega Strikers, and Overland. P.S.
Yes.
This is awesome.